10 chapters of pure gay sex with Guts and Griffith would be peak. But besides that, there's something else I often think about. And now that the story of Berserk has progressed so much, I don't see it ever happening. I'm talking about Theresia, the daughter of the Count that swore revenge on Guts in the first arc of Berserk. Every time I reread the first arc, I think about how Miura should have followed up with this plotline. I'm sure some would say it wasn't meant to be followed up, as it was just meant to show there's more to Guts and give him more depth. And sure, it did accomplish that, as every time I reread the Black Swordsman arc and I see the ending, it gets me emotional. But there's so much more potential to be found in this Theresia storyline if Miura continued it in the future, that would have developed Guts more as a character and even enhance the themes of Berserk even more, and also make a very satisfying conclusion to an aspect of Guts' character. Now, I'm not saying it should be an entire arc, but rather a couple of chapters, like the Chit chapters, as it will work perfectly. For those that don't remember the first arc of Berserk, one of the main themes that arc tackles is the theme of revenge, and the path towards destruction it leads you to, alongside the vicious cycle it creates. Vargas wanting to avenge his family and himself, despite it not being a winning battle, and it's his sole reason to keep on living, and just when he considered a different path, it was too late for him. Puck making Guts realize the path he's on is the same as Vargas, making Guts want to kill the Count as a way to convince himself the path of revenge he's taking is different from Vargas and will not result in his death, but instead the result was him perpetuating the cycle of revenge by making Theresia hell-bent on killing him, and it being the sole reason to keep on living. And to end the arc, Miura drew one of the most iconic Berserk pages, Guts crying. All Guts could do for Theresia was to make her like him, because this is all Guts knew. He didn't know what else could make someone stand up and keep moving forward after losing everything. The only thing moving him right now is hatred, his desire to kill Griffith. So that was all Guts could do at the moment for Theresia, make her his goal, become her Griffith. And this is where I see so much story potential and development for Guts as a character, and also for Shirk and the rest to strengthen their bonds. I'm not saying Theresia should come back as an apostle and fight Guts, but rather my vision on how it should go is like this. The Theresia plotline should be placed in after the events in chapter 249. Yeah, I know it's very late into the story, but hear me out. Chapter 249 is a chapter when Guts and the rest go into this huge town, and Shirk meets Sonya, and Isidro fights against pirates, and Shirk is feeling lost as she doesn't fit in the world with Guts and the rest, but she comes to appreciate and love them all, and it ends with a very happy group moment where they all beat up some drunks. Very wholesome, one of the most wholesome moments for me. And this is where Theresia comes in. Theresia, ever since the events of the Black Swordsman arc, kept going to one town to the other, searching for hints on where Guts could be. So it wouldn't be insane that Theresia happens to see Guts in one of the biggest towns that we've seen in Berserk, and it makes sense why she would be there as well. So Theresia, still hell-bent on revenge, sees Guts and follows him, and she sees Guts enter the bar and sees him happy and genuinely having a good time with his new friends, which drives her further mad as her entire life was destroyed by Guts coming to her town, so to see him having fun will make her mad. Theresia waits until the right time to strike Guts and tries to sneak attack Guts, but Guts notices and dodges it, and he sees her and recalls her. He's shocked, doesn't know what to say, as many tend to forget how devastating that moment was for Guts. Theresia tries attacking Guts more and more, but Guts dodges again and again. Serpico and the rest join in and try to stop her, but Theresia runs out of the bar. Serpico, Isidro, and the rest ask, "What was that? Did you know her?" Guts hesitant to say, as Guts rarely talks about his past, but Guts realizes he needs to confront this and even open up to his new bonds, so he shares the events of the Black Swordsman arc, specifically the Count part of the story. Everyone is a little shocked to hear the events, more specifically Shirk, as she isn't aware of Guts' brutality towards the innocent, as she has only been present during his brutality towards the trolls, apostles, but in the Black Swordsman arc, he did use Theresia as a shield, and used her and even tortured her mentally, as he was stabbing her dad over and over right in front of her, as a way to make the Count suffer. Many are probably going, but the Count was an apostle, he was evil, but that doesn't matter. Guts' father Gambino He was a piece of shit, but Guts still cared about him. He loved him, he viewed him as his father still. The same goes for Theresia. And to top it off, he even told her to kill herself, even though he was trying to help, but in her point of view, it's very malicious. So after Guts tells them the details of the event and why Theresia is hell-bent on killing him, Guts is worried what they all gonna think of him. Serpico, Farnese, and Isidro won't be too shocked, as they met Guts during a time where he was so hell-bent to the point it doesn't matter if innocent people got hurt or involved, and Farnese and Serpico have done bad things as well, so they won't judge him too harshly, or at all. Isidro idolizes Kerr and Guts, and I can see him not caring about stuff he did in the past. In fact, they will try to make Guts at ease by saying a joke or something. Shirk is the only one that I see being shocked and not sure how to feel about this, so she keeps this worry and trust to herself and starts to view Guts a little differently. Then the story progresses like it does in canon, where they all try and find a boat to travel to Elfhelm, and Farnese goes to her family. That's all the same. We only get some scenes of Guts thinking about Theresia, but besides that, everything stays the same until chapter 263, when the invasion from Ganeshka starts. In canon, Guts and the rest just leave the town and let everyone else fend for themselves, which is base, but here, in my fanfic, Guts thinks about Theresia and he decides to go and save her, as he can at least do that much to repay her for what he did, and tells Serpico and the rest to go to the boat while he goes to look for Theresia. And this is when Shirk realizes current Guts is different. That untrust, that unease she felt was for nothing. The Guts of the past isn't who he is anymore. So Shirk tells Guts she will go with him as she can find her through her aura. So they go and find her very quickly because of Shirk, and she was about to be killed by the monsters, but Guts saves her. This enrages her, of course, and Guts says, "Please hear me out after we find safety, and it's up to you to decide what to do next." So they fight the monsters and reunite with the rest, and the story goes the same, where Shirk protecting everyone, Guts risking his life to protect everyone, and them fighting Daiba, Ganeshka, etc. Everything stays the same. The only difference is that Theresia is seeing all this. Seeing Guts' bonds, the way he's risking his life to protect them, the way they risk their lives to protect him, and even Guts refusing to join Ganeshka, saying he's human, and not pursuing his fight against Griffith with Zod. This is important, as in her eyes, all she saw in the past was a monster. Everywhere he went, everything he crossed paths with was destroyed. But here, that illusion is starting to break. Her hatred is still there, and very strong still. So everything is still the same until chapter 286. It's when they are in the boat, and Guts is somewhat healed, and awake now. And this is when Guts and Theresia have a conversation. And while Guts doesn't open up to her about why he was seeking revenge, he does get into the topic of revenge and apologizes to her for filling her with the idea that revenge is all you need to keep moving forward, and shares some of his life and how he's not someone who can provide an answer to her, as throughout his childhood he never had a reason to live as a kid and just kept going to a battlefield over and over and thought that was living. But he was wrong. There were so many other ways to keep on living. Hate and revenge isn't everything. Now some might think Guts wouldn't give advice or even open up like this, but here's the thing. Sure, past Guts, when Farnese and Serpico and Isidro joined the group, he told Farnese to find her answer on her own. But as time passed, Guts grew fond of them, and once Shirk joined the group and he saw that she was going through pain he went through as a kid, instead of letting Shirk handle it on her own, he goes out of his way to give advice and let her know she doesn't have to handle this pain alone. And this is the answer he gives Theresia basically, from his new experiences. And Theresia saw firsthand Guts' new bonds and the strength they give him, which supports Guts' new perspective and also convinces her. But here's the thing, Theresia doesn't forgive Guts. She isn't sure if she won't ever stop hating Guts, but will thank him for doing what he did. Theresia doesn't stay in the boat and asks Roderick if they can drop her on some place, and bam, that's how the Theresia plotline ends. Guts, who at first didn't know what else to say to Theresia, who lost her will to live, and the answer he thought was best for her was to fill her with the idea that hatred is the only thing to keep her going. But after so long, he finally found a different answer. Sure, he's not completely sure of it, as he himself still considers revenge, and hasn't and probably never will get rid of that hatred and idea of revenge against Griffith, but he's learned there's more to life, and that he doesn't need that to keep moving forward. The main theme what I wanted to be tackled is the theme of revenge, but most importantly, something that has plagued Guts as a kid, being called the cursed child, someone who brings misfortune to those he runs into. And in the Black Swordsman arc, that idea was shown throughout every section. In the Baron section, a lot of people died because of him. The Skeleton section, an old guy and a little girl died because of him. And the Count section ends with him creating another him. But now he realizes that isn't the case at all. That's my vision on what I wanted for Theresia, as I genuinely believe this plotline had so much potential to explore. More of Guts' thoughts on hatred and revenge, Shirk learning more of Guts but still coming to trust him and strengthening the bond between them, and most of all, an ending for Theresia's character. As sure, the world of Berserk is a dark world, but that's not everything the world of Berserk is. There's also hope. Hell, that's how the Lost Children arc with Joe ended, and that's what I wanted for that plotline to end. To give it a twist to the most dark arc in Berserk, the first arc in Berserk where every section ended in pure destruction, and I would have liked this twist, that after so long, the ending of the first arc actually has a happy sort of ending with Theresia as a character. So I hope you all enjoyed this fanfic. I guess that's what this video was about. I just had this story in my head for so long, for years actually, and well, now that I'm making Berserk videos, I thought I'd share this old idea of mine. I'm curious what others who see this video think. Do you think they could have done more with Theresia, or were you satisfied with her conclusion in the Black Swordsman arc? I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye!